Hello everybody and good evening. I'm going to be talking about what I think are the best spread betting setups for May for both intraday trading as well as for people looking to trade positionally in foreign exchange, commodities and equities. I'm also going to talk about spread betting firms in light of some of the recent happenings in this industry. So what I want to do is first and foremost kick off. I'm going to try and answer some of the questions at the end. Those of you who know how to send in the questions, you're going to type those questions away. I'll try and answer those at the end because there's quite a few people and there'll be quite a few questions. So as I say, I'll try and answer those as we progress. So let me kick off with setting the scene. When it comes to spread trading, it's not just for any given month. It's not just what I might think the equities or the commodities or whatever else will give rise to profits, but I really want to explain to you my thinking behind it, my strategies behind that, and how I set myself up for the month ahead. So I'll include some of that in this as well in this webinar. So let me first of all kick off with, as we go through this, one of the first things I better do, I guess, explain what I do. A bit of background about myself. Well, I run a FSA-regulated asset management company, which I set up in 2004. So that gives you a bit of information about what I do from a fund management perspective. The next thing I want to mention is I also have a role with the British government, something literally called deal maker. It's what it says on my government card. My job is to look for top quality businesses. So that again gives me some insights into what companies do which are good, which are right, what is happening globally on the macroeconomic scene, and that's a role that I have there. You also know me as an author. I've written some 14, 15 books, I've lost count, on investing and trading, and that also, as I say, occupies a lot of my time, as does, of course, I broadcast. I've been a columnist on the Financial Times as well for 5 years on Bloomberg. I had a weekly show for 3 years, and now, in fact, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., I will be on Reuters TV. For those who use it, those with access to the Reuters terminal would have access to that. So that's a bit of an explanation as to what it is that I do. Let's move on to spread trading and the month ahead. Now, there's several strategies I deploy when I look at what I'm going to focus on for a given month. Direction and volatility are key. Let me explain this. Let's start off with foreign exchange. One of the things that I want to see is some evidence of a strong directional move, and that means directional volatility. That is typically, for instance, in this instance, shown by dollar and the Hungarian forint trade. What is it specifically about this? One of my key and favorite indicators is the MACD, because it shows momentum. You can see it off the price here, but that won't necessarily tell me whether this is going to continue moving sharply lower. When I've got downward pressure, as I can see here, and the likelihood on the MACD that it's going to fall a fair bit, then I know that I've got a pretty good idea that a price will not just have moved sharply for a couple of days, but is probably, not certainly, but probably going to break support. So I'm a bit more comfortable in trading in the direction of that trend. So at the moment, even if I'm trading daily, that is holding positions over a number of days on something like the dollar forint, or intraday, in this case, I've got a bias to the bearish side on this, because I look at the MACD. I already look at which way the dollar's fallen. But there's no point me just telling you that, because then you've got to go away and still look for these. I've got to show you others like this, and this was taken earlier today, trades such as this, as well as intraday ones. So let's have a look at some which fit into each category of what I look for. This one in the direction and volatility category, as I say, because I've got a MACD which looks like it's strongly going to move lower and continue so, and the price has triggered that. I've got a bias for being bearish on this, where I think I'm going to get a quick return because I think the price is going to continue in that direction. So this is one for May that I'm looking to be short on. What are the others for me? Well, again, I'm looking at dollar sterling here. The reason I've put this up is because I've got a trend. It's broken below support. You could argue there's some October-November support there. And whilst the MACD doesn't look like it's going to continue low, so the momentum doesn't necessarily look like it'll continue lower. And you can see that there's some support here. I've got to watch this one. It's not as strong as the Hungarian forint one, but I'd have a bearish bias, a 60-40 favor of being negative on that. But you know what gives it away as to why I should be bearish on this? When I look at the weekly chart, the weekly chart shows that the MACD is looking significantly weak, and because of that I'm more confident that on the daily this will continue lower, and that reinforces, the weekly chart reinforces my view for May that I'd rather have a bearish bias. Doesn't mean it's not going to rebound up, doesn't mean it's not going to catch me out, doesn't mean it's not, as it's done in the past here, just going to start rebounding in the opposite direction. But as I go into the month, I'm far more comfortable having a bearish bias on dollar sterling over there, and for those reasons it's the weekly chart which shows weakness for me on this one. What are the other ones? This one, similar to the previous one, you can see with the MACD and the momentum moving lower. I've got the price already trending lower. Yes, I've got some level of support on the price, but I've got a bias for shorting Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. I've got a bias for that because of this momentum indicator. In other words, I'm not looking to be going long this into May. Might change very quickly as you see movements happening, but at least it's positioning me as to which direction I want to do these trades. The opposite of these, like sterling, Swedish krona, is something like this, where you've got the bullishness to the upside. And I'd make a note of these. I'd make a note of these on a piece of paper when I'm looking to place trades and say, right, okay, pound, Swedish krona, I've got some momentum to the upside. My bias is going to be long. Why is it important to have these biases? Why is it important when we're going? Well, as you know, with spread betting, you've got to try and put the odds in your favor because it's a leveraged product. You can so very quickly get caught out, and I'd rather know what the house view is, as it were, what the corporate view is in terms of direction, and look wherever I can to trade in that direction. It's as if you're swimming with the tide, swimming in favor of a particular direction. And the best ones are when the weekly MACD, and I'll show you lots of examples of these, the weekly MACD is moving in that direction, the trend is moving in that direction, there isn't resistance nearby, so the price is likely to continue without having any significant cause not to go in that direction. So what are some of the others for May where I'm going to have that kind of bias which have come to view? We've got US dollar, Canadian dollar, for instance, had some support, seems to have broken below it. Look at that MACD. Looks like it's going to move lower, support the price going lower, or the price going lower. So I'm going to have a bearish bias on this. I'm going to be looking to go short on this, and a separate target for that would be 0.95 on that, for the simple reason that that is a recent support level, and in the markets people tend to be pretty straightforward in their analysis when it comes to Forex, which is, okay, where's it been to recently, and that's what they're looking as the next target for that. Let's go on for others. I've put on dollar euro because it's a popular one. Now, to me, the dollar euro is just a bit too complicated, too tough to get a view on, to get a handle on. You could argue, well, surely won't it just move a little bit lower? Yeah, it could, but given that it's been going sideways, given that it's been range bound, given the narrow range in which it's trading, I don't want to say for the whole month of May, oh, I've got a bearish bias in this, because I see some weakness, because I see a recent support, because I see, you could argue for those who are into technical analysis, a double top likely to form, and so on. Yes, I could say that, but it's barely any pips, it's barely any spread betting points before it gets down there. So with this one, I'm staying clear, unless it's obvious, and that's another strategic point I want to make, unless I feel that the probabilities are very much in my favor, and it looks blaringly obvious, it looks too good to leave to one side, I'm just not going to bother. And I say free webinars for people on this. I'm going to save all of these. Thank you all so much. Please have a fantastic evening. Thank you